Yeah, I think we'll be fine. All right, we're going to go live, and let's post it. Live coding this morning. When I first started. Yeah, so we're going to be doing... all right, got coffee here. As usual, didn't wake up too long ago. My sleep is like totally fucked, and I kind of have a couple like I have topics listed. I was just gonna pick one off the top and just roll with it, but I don't really like anything I had, so I just kind of went with my own, which is gonna be talking about the things that were really difficult for me when I first started out. There's a couple things in mind that I can think of that took a while to learn, so I'll talk about those things, and then otherwise I'll probably just be rambling as always. I'm also going to... So we also started early today. I have a ton of shit for work, so I needed to start early so I could finish early. And I'm also just going to be doing a little live coding. I wanted to look at one of the Freecodecamp projects, pull it down, and just see how quickly I can do it. So we're going to be just working on one of them. I don't think it'll take too long, honestly. I think that'll take 10 minutes. So we'll start doing that, and I'll get the screen set up. Tiny head. Then we need this one. Yeah. That can be pretty big, and then my head disappeared. Okay. I think that's all we'll need for now. We'll probably need display. Yeah, we'll need the other display too, also, actually. So let's do that. Okay. But yeah, it's gonna be. I'm definitely slow today, as usual for a while since I've been doing this shit pretty much. I think this weekend though, I'm gonna work really hard to get my sleep schedule back on track. So I'm hoping on Monday we come back real fresh. Let's get this here. I don't know. This is always tough. I don't know. Maybe we'll only go on one monitor. Yeah, let's only do one monitor today. We can just move that to the back. Move this to the back. Okay. We're going to do one monitor today, and I'll just keep switching over. So, these are all my random stream ideas. This is all my other shit here. Let's open this. So I made a little folder called FCC, Freecodecamp. So we're going to be going like completely from scratch. And I'll show you what we're going to be making. I really do think it'll take 10 minutes, but, you know, we'll see. This guy here. So within this, whatever this is, front-end development libraries shit. At the bottom, there's a bunch of these little projects here. So we're going to be doing this Markdown previewer. Markdown is like a little language for formatting text. Basically, the idea is have a big old text field on one side of the screen, big old like preview pane on the other side of the screen. As you type in the big text input, the text area element will update the preview to be formatted, Markdown, rendered, etc. They suggest using this library called Marked to do the actual transformation, so we'll be using that, which makes things very, very easy. It's literally just going to be, as far as I can tell, an on-change event. We could do this in React. We can do this in anything, but we're going to be doing this in just vanilla. And we'll call this... Actually, let's make a folder for it. Markdown preview. And then we're gonna do everything in one file, I think. So start with our basic HTML thing, and then we'll call this Markdown preview. And then here we'll just have a little h1 with Markdown preview here. And we will serve this. Let's see. Where is the fuck? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is our page up and running. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in this markdown library here. You could use NPM for this, but because we're going all vanilla, we're not using like Webpack for modules. We're just going to be going with the old CDN up in this biz. So let's see. This is a script, right? Where's our? Oh, it doesn't. Oh, there we go. Script tag. This should be in the head here. We want this to load before everything else loads. And then everything else we're going to be doing in a script tag inside the body. If I console. Excuse me. Hi. Save. Fuck. Save. And go back to my guy here. What is this on local 55 hundo? Oi. There we go. So right here, if I look in console, we have hi. And then if I look in the network, if I refresh and then look in the network, we should see Markdown preview being pulled in. Markman, yeah, here it is. And so now I'm pretty sure that marked is going to be a global variable in the window, so we can use it. All right, good to go on everything. So we need two different, we just need two elements here. We need a text area. And I think there are some Freecodecamp. The way that Freecodecamp does this is they have, and you could see it in their, in like the requirements for this stuff. Let me find that shit. So all these user stories here are tests. They have a bunch of tests that they're going to run to see if this works, which is why you need to have like an ID of editor on the text area element, because that's how they're going to search for it. So ID equals, what is it, editor. And then an element, so we'll just have a div. And this is going to have an ID of preview. Okay, we're not going to worry about styling at this point. We're just going to be working on getting this done. We might have to add a little style, actually, so let's just do that here. And local 55 hundo. Okay, so here's our... Oh, shit. We fucked up here. It looks like we're missing a closing tag. For something, I don't know. Are we missing closing tag anywhere? Something's a little foobard. We'll see what's going on here. I don't know. Did I not close a quote or something? I'm wondering if, okay, let's just try this real quick. Okay, that seems to work. Something about that closing tag. But all right. I would have thought, let's just try this real quick too. Okay, whatever. I have no idea what's going on with that, to be honest. But all right, that seems to be working. And then our preview's there too. Something about the way that we're closed. Let's look at text area real quick on MDN and see what they how they render it. Yeah, they do have children. Cool. Anyway, let's see, and let's do rows equals. Let's just do like 20 for right now. wrong thing. We're almost done, honestly. And that's fine. Okay, so all we have to do here then is add our onChange event. So we can do document.querySelector, and let's just grab editor. Or actually, we want to do window.add-event listener. Let's add a change event. Fuck, I have to look this up. Yes, I have to look up how to add an event listener. Target. So we wanted to do it the other way. Let's do .add event listener change, and then it's going to be, let's just log E real quick. So anytime that we, and again, I got to be doing this over here. Refresh. Anytime I update this, we should see the event fire. So, ooh, interesting. It's happening on, let's see, query selector editor. Looks like my change event isn't quite firing when I'm expecting it to. Like it looks like it's interesting. So the change event is only fire. Oh, you know what? Let's do on key press. Let's use a different event here. Let's do on key press event MDN. Looks like that. So that change event is only firing when the value of the input changes, and that is only getting, or the value of the text area changes, and that's only getting updated on blur. It looks like if the text is different, but that's fine. Let's see, key pressed. Okay, so let's try this because we wanted to update at pretty much every keystroke. So we need that event to fire. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So now that we have this, the next step is going to be setting the preview text content to be the text in here. So I'm pretty sure that if we look in the event, it would be .target, yes, and then value. Yeah, so we want, let's grab value off of the target. And the target out, so when your event fires for an event listener like this, target is the element that's responding to the event. So it's an HTML element basically. And in this case, it's text. Actually, you could probably use this. This .target would probably work too. But we're just going to keep it simple. So we have the value. So the next thing we have to do is just grab our text element here, or our preview element, and just update it with the value. And then we'll have to do the intermediary where it changes to markdown. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do it first. So we have our raw text here, but we need to convert it to markdown before we render it in that preview pane. So if we go to marked, all we have to do here is call, that's it. It's literally just that functions. And this is exactly what we need to do here. We might be able to do this a little bit differently. We'll try. So let's do, we need to grab the preview div. So we're going to use query selector here, and we'll grab preview. And then all I need to do is say we can set text content. Where the fuck? Oh, you know what? No, it has to be, they're right, it does have to be HTML. So it's going to be, yeah, because this is probably coming back as HTML. I think inner HTML is just an assignment. I think it's a setter probably technically. If you want to get into that shit. I also don't have chat up right now. I'm assuming no one really has checked in, so I think I've gotten very, I don't know. Fuck it, dude. We're already in this thing. So if you're watching and typing in chat, my bad right now, but I'll check in a minute when I'm done with this. Let me check inner HTML on MDN real quick to see how this works. And looks like, yeah, we just set it. I think that this might be it. Local 5500. Oh. Okay, something's fucked up. Input. Aha. Yeah. Marked. We need to do value here. There it is. And then if I did, oh, interesting. One thing that's happening is that last character is not getting added until after. What do we need? On key up? Let's try on key up. That's a little better. Looks pretty good. That is basically it for this. There's not really a whole, I mean, the other things I would do, if I was like being serious about this, you probably want to have like in your editor to start here, we can probably have like update this text. I don't know. So we're gonna do this. The one thing that, oh Jesus, what the hell? The other thing we have to do is if we go back here, fucking, do I keep closing this? The only thing we'll have to do, firstly, okay, there's a couple things. Why is, oh, I see. Okay. I'm just gonna try. I know that this won't work. No, it's fine. It's fine. The only other thing I want to do here is just have this text here to start. We can just we can get kind of nasty with it here. I'm not loving this. All right. So the first thing we'll do is we'll say, a little simplification real quick. should work. Should work. There we go. Oh, it's not marked down though. Did we do HTML? Yeah. Oh, it's because of all the. Okay, let's do this then. I keep looking at the wrong thing. That's why I keep doing that. We're almost there. We'll just do, you know what? We will just do this. All right, so that's it. We'll keep doing little style things for a second. We can do something like preview. We're gonna have a little border. Okay. Obviously, this is going to look not great. Padding, little padding here. 5 pixels. And then we also we can put this side by side next to each other. If this was like, you know, if I was doing this all out, we could do. Actually, we can bootstrap and make this responsive pretty quickly. Let's just throw that in. Throw in Bootstrap. I haven't used Bootstrap in a long time, so we'll see how this goes. We need all of it, right? No, you really need the CSS. Click to copy. There we go. And let's put this right here. But then let's just throw in the JavaScript too. min.css. Why would I want whatever? Okay. And we go to Bootstrap's little fucking dumb thing here. Let's look at the layout shit. Grid. Ah, cool. Just do a little more markup on this thing. Let's do a div container here. Oh, that's only up to here. See how this looks. Pretty good. Does it like collapse? Yeah. Okay. So now I wonder why this width. What if I did like width 100%? Cool. And that would be on here or on editor. And then we'll also make, okay, couple other, I'm almost done with the styling shit too. Just a couple things I want to change just to, I don't know, make it not shitty. So how is the height for this getting set? It looks like it's just whatever. We can do, if we did this. But then for text area, can you do that? You can. But then how do rows get affected? They don't. Okay. Let's do that then. And we're going to grab the same border properties that this has. So we're going to do... Okay, let's grab this color. No border radius. So it should just be... just the color that needs to change in this 1 pixel. Start there. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Done and done. So what'd that take? 30 minutes maybe? Yeah, 28 minutes, and then that was also doing a little extra shit. But pretty much done. There you go. So yeah, all this really is just an event listener, and everything else is pretty simple. But regardless of that, I'm gonna keep talking about. I still want to stream for like another 15-20 minutes. So we'll talk about like those things that I had trouble with learning when I first started out. And there's a couple things that come to mind. I remember I mean, everything is hard when you start out. Like you really have to rewire your brain to some extent to understand even really basic concepts. Like even things like iteration and for loops were not like immediately obvious to me. I remember when I first started learning, I started learning Python, and I was learning on like a CS50 class online on like Coursera or some shit like that. And one of the projects that they had, one of like the homework things that they had was to build like a string parser for HTML that could like, you're trying to scrape certain text off of a thing basically. And the idea is you're just, iterating over text and looking for certain matchers. And it was like the first thing that I really did. It was like, I was on like the second day of learning how to code, and it was like the first thing that came up. And I remember like it took, I guess this is going to dovetail nicely with what I just did. It took probably about 5 or 6 hours for me to do it. I was so determined that I just sat down and wouldn't like get up until I did it. Looking back, I mean, this is something that would take me about 30 seconds to do right now. But when you start out, everything is it's just hard. Like like errors don't make any sense to you when you first start, probably. I remember every time errors scared the shit out of me. I would have to I would be watching somebody code something, and I would be doing exactly what they were doing, and I would be getting an error that they weren't getting, and I'd have to rewatch the video to find out the typo that I made, because I couldn't read the error. Like I didn't know what was going on, or I didn't know if it wasn't an error, there was some other issue and I couldn't figure it out. I remember that was brutal. And it takes you it does take months probably before you get really comfortable. It does take a long time. But I remember everything was hard starting out for the most part. Things started to click eventually. I remember I was building one project like one of my first projects. It was it was a website that you could type in an NBA player's name and get their stats back. We should look at it, honestly. I'm pretty sure it's on GitHub still. That would be really fun to do one day, like a retrospective on shit that I've made, review my own code. But I remember making it, and I was stuck for about 3 or 4 days on this thing, which was just a form submit. The issue that I was having was that I didn't know how form submission worked. And when you submit a form in JavaScript or in front end shit, what happens is, because of the way browsers worked and because of the way the internet kind of used to work, when you submit a form, it reloads the page. Or really what it's going to do is, like, I don't know if it refreshes the page or if you get redirected somewhere. I think it's either. But that's like the default behavior for forms when you go to submit them. And so in almost every library, and like especially any kind of XHR using sort of app, you almost always want to prevent that behavior. So you call prevent default, which is a method on the event, to not refresh the page. And everyone knows this, I was stuck on this issue for about 4 days when I first started, like, my first project. I had no idea why. Like, I would go to submit the form and nothing was happening, but the page would reload. What do you even Google for that? I remember stuff like that being like so hard and being very, very frustrating. I was very frustrated for a long time at a lot of stuff. And then even as you get through that, there's new, like, those are the smaller stuff. Eventually you get to, like, things that are really tough to wrap your head around. Promises and thenable type stuff was, for a long time, so fucking, I did not get that shit at all. I really didn't. Now I can write promises in my sleep. Shit's, like, very, very simple. It's not complicated, but for whatever reason, it's just really tough to wrap my brain around. Man, what else? Yeah, async behavior in general. I think that's one of the hardest things in JavaScript programming in general. There's even, I found this out recently. There's certain rendering DOM operations that aren't promise-based, but are asynchronous, which is really, really weird to think about. So you can, like, call this method to do something to render to the DOM. And if you, like, if your next line of code is immediately, like, trying to grab an element you just may have added to the page in that previous method call, it might not be there. You might have to, like, use a set timeout or a polling type mechanism or a mutation observer or something really dumb like that. But that's hard to know without knowing. You just have to guess at it. That's really tough to know. But async stuff, really, really tough in JavaScript. But doable. It's probably one of the more fun things to work on now. I love, like, anything. If I ever get to use promise.all, that's a dope day. That's fun. Promises were really tough. Testing was I didn't understand testing for a long time. But that's not when you first start out. That's kind of down the road. Headers. God, I still hate headers issues and network requests. CSS was really tough too. And CSS is tough for a ton of people. I think you just, like, what helped me a lot with CSS is just getting very, very comfortable with the dev tools. I think, like, if I could go back in time and tell myself one thing to do over again, it would be to learn the dev tools faster. Like, Chrome's dev tools are fucking incredible and really expansive and featureful, and you'll learn so much about, like, how the browser works just by fucking around with dev tools. And that's, like, the whole key to everything, just knowing how your browser works. It's like what all this shit is. Other issues that I had starting out. Just, like, no instincts. Like, just seeing every error message is like a new adventure. It took me a long time to get comfortable with errors. I think I kind of remember that. And then there's just so much being thrown at you. It's just hard to take things in. Like, another one that was tough for me, I remember, were array methods. That took me a minute to learn, like reduce specifically. Array.reduce was really weird to learn. And I don't know why, but this is like 2 or 3 years ago. And everyone loved reduce for everything. Like there was a period of time where I feel like everybody was like, hey, you only need reduce. It's the only array method you need for a few months there. And everyone had like tutorials on it and shit. And then somebody realized, hey, this stuff is hard to read. Reduce is so hard to read. Part of that is because the initial value for stuff is the last argument, and then it's also you have in your function argument, like your thing that's your iterator, that has 2 arguments, the accumulator and like the current value or the current index or whatever. So because of that, I think people forget which one is where, and like it's just tough to read right off. It's still useful for iterating over maybe an array of like promises and calling done on all of them or something. I don't know. Yeah, other stuff. Oh, you know, it was really tough when I first started out was actually deploying apps. That was really fucking hard. Like I remember having, like, it took me a day or two to figure out just how to have like an Express app serve a React app locally, and then also like do that in Heroku or some other like cloud hosting provider. That was really fucking tough. And that, like, these are things that are now very trivial. And part of the reason they get trivial isn't because you get better. It's weird. You get better at seeing the big picture, and then you see like you understand, like when you go to deploy with Heroku, you know what Heroku needs to do the deployment. Like you're like, oh, I know that it needs like, you know, a static asset to serve, whatever it is. You just get like this better idea of the bigger picture, and it's weird how that makes everything like easier. You'd think it'd be the other way around, where like you'd focus on the smaller picture and that would make it easier, but it's just not true. It's really, everything with this stuff is bigger picture. Like the what I'm coming to find is a lot of like the browser API used to be kind of scary to me in certain ways. I didn't really like the methods are some of the methods are really crazy. Like use mutation observers in particular, like that strikes me as being pretty gnar. But even like the fetch API was kind of weird when I first started, and I think it took me a bit to realize that this is all still like, it's all JavaScript. It's just like the browser API, like the difference between JavaScript and the browser API, I guess. And like, I don't know if I'm making sense right now. This is kind of rambly, but I think that there was just a point. I think doing my last job was so front end browser sort of related that I think that really gave me a good lesson of what like the browser really is and shit, and like how the browser APIs really work and all that stuff. And I don't think it's something I really totally fully understood before, to be honest. I remember collaboration was tough when I started. Yeah, I remember feeling like in my boot camp, I was almost resentful of the other students because I thought they were lazy. So collaboration was kind of hard for me when I first started out. I still think it's one of my weaknesses, maybe. But that's not. I'm trying to think of stuff that's more like language feature. ES6 is kind of weird, but that didn't take too long. I liked arrow functions and shit from the get-go. I remember seeing like when you initially go through Freecodecamp, I don't think they have this anymore, but they used to have all these JavaScript algorithms, and you like answer it, and once you do it, they'll show you like other people's answers, and they'll show you like beginner, intermediate, advanced answers. And I look at the advanced answers, and they're using like regex and shit that I'm like, it was always using language features that were like I thought were amazing and like so far beyond me, which looking back now is kind of silly. It's just not, it doesn't work like that. And like in real life, you don't really get bonus points for clever answers. Like, it's nice if you write code that's like very clear and concise and elegant, but that might not necessarily be the shortest code that, or like the least amount of code that you can write. some descriptiveness is kind of nice in code. And I think that like it's really common for intermediate or like mid-level developers to get a little snippy and write like really overly creative solutions, over-engineered or too clever solutions for something in code. And that's what I saw in the advanced answers now looking back. But at the time, I thought they were really cool. Like my answer would be 10 lines. Theirs would be like 2 lines with like regex and like an array.reduce or some crazy shit. And I remember being like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, but not as much anymore. Yeah, now it's just about getting the job done. I almost like... You're like... This was something I was going to talk about in its own topic, but you can never write perfect code. There's not really such... I mean, there kind of is in a very small thing, but like... Generally speaking, striving to write perfect code is a fool's errand, and you're losing sight of what you should actually be doing, which is delivering value to the user. No one gives a shit about your code. People think they're fucking Mozart behind the keyboard, pounding out like the fucking most brilliant. I think this is actually a real thing. I think that like there's a sect of developers who think that they are the Beethoven of writing code, or like the fucking, Vincent van Gogh of writing code, and think that like the shit they're writing is fucking brilliant and all this stuff. And it's like, you're just wasting people's time. It's just code. Just do it and get it done. Don't like... Oh, I would actually, on a more serious note, I would recommend people not get too attached or in love with the code they write. Anywhere you work is going to have a code review process. Any code that you write is going to get reviewed by probably 2 other front-end developers. I remember my code review the first year I worked in my first job there were some brutal reviews. You learn so much through them. That was like when I really started to learn shit, is when I started to get my code reviewed, and there were a couple of people I worked with who were pretty ruthless. And actually it became a whole team thing. It almost became kind of toxic, where I think people were like hurt by other people reviewing their code, so they would like take revenge, kind of like reprove yourself or something. But I remember having some real brutal code review when I first started out. Now all my shit's legit. You don't even need to review my code. It's so good. You just get it out to prod. Just get it out there. We know it's good. Actually, I did push a bug. I pushed a bug pretty recently that's causing some issues. My bad on that one. I don't think it was my fault, though. But that definitely did happen. Man, coffee's all gone. Oh, a little sippy. I gotta get some breakfast and start working. So we're gonna call it today. 45 minutes. This was a weird one. I think we'll come back on Monday with a more clear topic. But this was still fun, and I'm glad. Hey, we're still doing it. We still did 3 streams this week. The stream goal this weekend is to get the roadmap up. We'll try that. And then I also am excited. I'll have a second quarter goal. Q2 of 2021 we're gonna have a little goal there. I'm excited for. But other than that, I am gonna go do shit that I don't really want to do for work, and then I might be back on tonight. Probably not though. Probably maybe this weekend or something. Either way, it's been real.